Alright, so next up on the table for today, we've got an Azodin Blitz 4, I believe it's this one, right? I think that's a Blitz 4. Does that sound right? I think it's a Blitz 4. Regardless, it's an Azodin Blitz. So customer got this gun. Eyes are working, that's good. Turn the eyes off. Eyes seem to function. Let's see what the note says real quick. We've got marker doesn't recock even with the regulator at the highest possible pressure. It doesn't seem to get enough air to recock. It's not a problem with my tank. I've used it on different markers and I've tried every adjustment I can think of and lubed it, but nothing will fix it. The marker had these problems out of the box. Well, it's got a pretty good amount of paint on it, so I would assume that it worked at one time. I can cock it back, sear releases normally. It's a lot of grease maybe on there, which I don't recommend. Obviously, we don't want to slow the bolt down in any way. And a gun like this that doesn't have any O-rings on the bolt in order to like seal the breach as the air's flowing through it doesn't really need grease on it. It's Delrin. It should be plenty slick by itself without putting any grease on it. Let's try to clean that up a little bit though. Let's get some towel up through there. Just kind of coiling this up as I push it in there. That way I can hopefully snake it all the way through and just pull it out the front without it getting stuck. Hey, best laid plans, right? Alright, so I'm just going to look through there. Both detents are there, so we shouldn't have any issues with ball breakage. So let's see what happens. I'm going to look at the regulator first. I'm going to kind of just gauge where their pressure is at on the regulator. They've got their velocity adjuster, again, on this one. We see it so often well, not say all the way in, but pretty far in. Putting it in further like that is going to make it obviously harder to recock because we're putting more pressure on the spring, so it's got to push a compressed spring down and to recock it. So I'm going to leave that alone. I'm not going to touch it. And then I'm going to look at this and see where it is. I'm going to back it up to see how far we have before it stops in the full wide open position. And so it's all the way open right now. So I can turn it in, but it stops. So the regulator is outputting the highest amount of pressure that it can right now. Let's see what that is. This is going to be the easiest way to do this, I think. Let's take this off. Rather than trying to undo this part, it's just easier to take the whole piece off. Alright, so let's see. Again, these gauges that we have on here, they're not the best, but they're going to give us a rough idea. So we're at about close to 500, so 450 to 500 psi input pressure. So that's what's coming through here and into the gun, which is a lot. Shouldn't need to be that high. But let's just see. Customer says that it doesn't, that it won't shoot even with this much pressure coming through it. So let's go down that. I'm going to put that on a different one. That gauge I had on there was like a 0. It's not as close as this one is. This one has better markings on it. Might give us a better result. Oh no, it's right about the same. So I think each one of these little dots is 50. Each hash mark is 50, and we're in between 450 and 5. So I'm going to say, 475, which should be plenty for a Blitz. Let's see, Blitz, Blitz, Blitz. I'm going to put these back in so I don't have to try to hold the tank at the same time. So let's get this here. Let's put our bolt back in. Do a little bit better clean up through there. So leaving the reg wide open, we're at 500 psi, 450 plus psi coming through there, and this is in. So let's see where we're at. Hopefully. Might be a little loud, so be ready. Well, it definitely shoots and recocks. A lot of problems I see with these is without any back pressure on them, they don't recock themselves. They have an issue with recocking with nothing, like no ball, nothing over the front, no muffler like this or anything, but definitely banging right there. So it is firing on all cylinders. So let's see what velocity we're at right now. Alright, so we're going to put one in. Oh, eyes should read it. That's 307, so not as high as I figured it would be. Figured it would be much higher than that. 300. 314. So that's, again, these are 20 over. We're shooting reball. So we're a little bit high on that. So let's start turning our rig down and see where we're at. Well, actually, let's do this first. So let's bring our velocity adjuster out. And then let's do another test. So 289, so that's 269, 270. And that's from bringing the velocity adjuster all the way out to flush. $268. $264. So that's low, but that's what our adjustment for back here. So let's go back up 1, 2, 3 turns, and let's see where we're at. So 305, that's going to put us at, 285. And there. So let's turn our reg down now. So I'm going to turn my eyes off so that I can Shoot that like that. Helps if you're not pushing on the bolt when you're trying to shoot it. I'm gonna do a full turn. And then I'm gonna go grab some more reball. Alright, so one full turn in with the reg. See where that puts us. 292, so we're still up there. Even though we've reduced the pressure inside the regulator, we're still up in velocity. 270, 272. That's 304, so that's 280. $298, so same kind of place. So the reg itself, it doesn't need to be up that high. So I'm going to do one more turn. Because once you get over a certain pressure, it's not doing anything extra. 283, so that's down into the 260 range. 260 again, that was 282. 273, so that's dropped pressure. We're down in the 260s, and we've got our velocity a couple turns in. So I'm going to come back out on my reg a half turn, and then we'll check again. My tank pressure is good. I got plenty of pressure in my tank. 295, so 275. That was a little low. Let's try one more. 286, so 266. 281, so 260. Perfect. We can go up or down still. We can put a little bit more into this if we wanted to. Let's come out maybe another quarter turn and see if that changes anything. We want to be able to give the customer adjustment. So 264. Regardless of where it is, you need to be able to go up and down with it. 290, so 270. We can still bring this in, so we needed to increase a little bit. I wouldn't play around with the reg really at all anymore. I would leave it there. But the gun works. The gun doesn't have any issues as far as firing. Right out of the box sent back to us, it worked fine. Given that the reg was turned way up, but it still worked. Be curious to see what tank they were using. I'm going to check one other thing. Since we're here, we're going to check the reg seat inside here. I know the seats in some of these tend to fail. This has a different kind of capture system in the seat, so usually these aren't as bad as KP3s and some of the other guns that use a seat that is held in by a little brass ring. But it's easy to take a look at, so we can just pop this apart real quick. Take a look. Well, the reg seat looks fine. So that's the reg seat right there. Here's our piston. And our reg seat is on the end there. It's got a little bit of a dent in it, but that's very normal from where it pushes up against the adjuster that's inside there. It's going to always form like a little ring, which is fine, but we don't have any chips, any cuts, any notches, anything missing out of it. Everything looks complete. There's no debris. There's no chunks. Looks good to me. I'm going to say that's okay. So the regulator's fine. This needs to come back a little bit further. This has the same issue where if you screw the top cap of the reg all the way down and then put the set screw in, the swivel won't work. There we go. Be interested to see where the pressure is now. Ah! Hands are greasy. So we're down a little bit, about 450. And again, we could probably adjust the reg even more and play around with it, but I don't really think we need to. We want to make sure that everybody's got the adjustability that they need. So as far as I can tell, the gun works. I'm going to kind of just look at some other things that aren't important to the functionality of the gun recocking, but just want to look at the eyes. They're pretty dirty. And this is all just me being neurotic and wanting to make sure that it looks right. But again, this would not make the gun not recock or not move. Just nobody likes a dirty gun. I'm going to pull that back. Pull the bolt back. It makes your detent sit in a little bit easier. You're not fighting the bolt trying to push the detent out. So less detent popping out on you. You can see all the goo around there. That's just paint, either broken paint from a broken ball or being shot on the eye cover and paint breaking on it. Alright. Get your detent back in. Woo, almost threw that eye cover right on the floor. Alright. Yeah, the gun's working. We'll get a hold of the customer and talk to them and see what they want to do. But from out of the box back, it was functioning like it normally would. Try to get some more information out of the customer. We'll go from there. Take you in the next one.